Farmers know that soil compaction is almost never uniform across different field areas and soil depths. The lack of a practical tool for measuring and managing this issue has led generations of farmers to have to guess the right way to manage their soil. Now, this has unfortunately led to considerable yield losses for no-till farmers. And on the other hand, a lack of understanding of soil structure has led to staggering amounts of wasted time, fuel, maintenance, and repairs for conventional farmers, all while damaging healthy soil. Today I'll be introducing a brand new tool I developed for mapping soil compaction called the SmartProbe. This simple and cost-effective tool will help almost any grower, anywhere, finally understand and fix soil compaction issues on their farm. In this video, we'll be going over the benefits of efficiently managing varying soil compaction, how to use the SmartProbe on your farm, the quickest and easiest ways to fix issues you find, and the financial opportunity for properly managing your soil. So come with me today as I demonstrate how we use the SmartProbe on our farm to successfully navigate a reduced till transition. All right, guys, so we're about to get started here. We're using soil penetrometers. The way they work is pretty simple. As you push them down into the ground, it simply tells you how much pressure that takes. Now, as a farmer, if we know it takes a lot of pressure to puncture down into the soil, our roots are going to have a hard time going down and finding nutrients in the deeper soil profile. And a penetrometer is really just a scale that you poke in the ground. Some are digital, some are analog. While they're great tools for measuring compaction, before the SmartProbe kit, I was writing out the data in my GPS on paper and then trying to map things out from there. This made getting significant value out of them at field scale notoriously impractical until now. The cool thing we added onto them is a smartphone mount and an app so that we can actually collect and map this data in real time. Let's get started. So we made it to the field here, and we always like to start at the gate or wherever all the traffic is entering and exiting through the field. That's going to be where you're going to most likely have the most compaction, because that's where all the traffic is driving over and it packs that ground down. So it's a great place to start and gives you a good idea for relativity of what the inland's looking like versus your worst compacted area. And actually, I got to get out of the way. We got more traffic coming in. All right, so to start, again, this is what the data entry screen looks like. So right here it says 4 inches. What you're gonna do is you're gonna push the probe down 4 inches. This is your leveling plate, by the way. So once you're at 4 inches, you log whatever pressure it is into the app, and in real time, it'll actually map that out for you. So you know where your compaction is, how severe it is. If you do that down in every inch interval, you know exactly how deep your compaction is so you can fix it. And you just start slowly pushing it in. It's a big key. You don't want to push it in too fast because that way it's gonna show a spike in the readings. So what you want to do is about 1 inch per second. Feels kind of slow, but it goes fast. So I'm pushing it in and we're down to that 4 inch marker, and it's looking like it's saying 242 pounds per square inch to do that. So we'll push it in another 4 inches down to 8. And we're reading 370. Down to 12. Up 370 again. Hit save, and you move to the next spot. One thing I made this mistake so many times when I first started using penetrometers. There's a little bit of subjectivity in what justifies compaction. What is compaction? What number on this dial is compaction? Well, these things were designed to be used in fully saturated soil, right? Fully saturated meaning it's fully wet, it's at field capacity. We don't always have those probing conditions out here in the real world. In fact, it is dry, so these numbers are going to be a lot higher. When you push a probe into dry soil versus fully saturated soil, the results are very, very different. So what we're looking for is that these headlands where we're having all of our traffic, the numbers are a lot higher than in the center. That's kind of what we're looking for, is relativity. So I only probed a couple spots yesterday before the sun went down. So today I'm going to quickly check some of the other spots. A question I often get is, how long is this going to take? The answer really depends on how many probes you do. For a farmer that's been farming their ground for a while and has a pretty good idea of their soil, they may only need to spend 30 minutes or less checking spots. On a field that's new to me, I always like to do 1-acre grids to get a really clear picture of the soil. For example, doing 1-acre grids on a 40-acre field will take about an hour or so. Really though, the financial gains of measuring your soil structure and fixing issues are huge. After calculating everything, on an average 40-acre field, we'd lose roughly $1,200 to yield limiting compaction. And if we decided to subsoil the entire thing, we'd end up wasting around $680 in tillage costs. So what this tool allows farmers to do is find what areas they'll actually get a benefit from subsoiling and what areas they can completely cut out that tillage expense. So we just finished up probing the field, and unfortunately we do have some areas that are pretty severely compacted. This happens just over time with a lot of ground. So what we're gonna do is take our smartphone off this mount, and I'll show you the next step. So the first step, you're just gonna wanna turn this little knob here to loosen up the tension, and then you can pull this right off. So we're hoping to release these kits here next spring. What they'll come with is your smartphone mount here, and then it comes with a couple other little interesting pieces. This is that leveling plate you'd seen on the base of the penetrometer. And then these two little pieces we'll need for our next step. All right, so what you're wanting to do here is loosen up the tension on this, and you're gonna wanna take this piece off. All right, so the next step is mounting the smartphone to the monitor bar of your tractor cab. Now these kind of vary in width, so you wanna find the right one, and that'll fit on just like that. And then we're going to mount this little arm right there to it. All right, you just take your little wrench here, tighten it up, put your little arm on. Love it. Now we got our smartphone mounted so we can be hands-free and really focus all our attention on our tillage and making sure we're doing a good job. We're gonna be aiming at that 12-inch depth because that's what we got the ripper set to. And now we're really gonna focus our attention on these little areas right in here. That's where we're really gonna get a return on investment from our tillage. And those are really the only areas showing a problem. So we'll just touch these up and we should be all set for ideal planting conditions next spring. We are the little blue dot on the screen. So this will help you know where you're at in the field and where your compaction really starts and ends. Let's get our RPMs up and get this baby in the ground. And we are rolling. Oh, we got a red dot coming up right here. The cool thing is when you get to those spots out there, you'll actually be able to feel your tractor kind of bog down a little bit. It's got to work harder to break up that compaction. We can kind of see where our traffic came through. So I'm not gonna rip all the way to the fence line. We're just gonna focus on ripping up just these tracks. Right, so we kind of are just hitting that first real spot of compaction right there. And as you can see, our RPMs are kind of going all over the place. We just dropped from 10th gear to 9th. And I would expect it to keep bogging down as we get closer. Now, another term I've heard people use with this is zone building. I think that's a great way to phrase it because we're not looking to do the whole field. We're just trying to figure out what specific zones in the field are going to really benefit from subsoiling. Because as we know now, if we did every acre of this field, it'd be a big waste of time, fuel, labor, and honestly, it can actually damage our soil quite a bit by doing that if it doesn't need it. So we just made it past our last yellow dot there. And up ahead, I don't think we're gonna have too much compaction because the traffic we did have down on this end all came through this lane. You can hear the engine actually picking up. We made it through. So we're gonna pull up, turn around, and go to the next spot in the field, which I think will be right up here. We're coming up on our other driveway here, so we know this is where a lot of traffic's coming in and out of. So we're gonna touch this spot up as well. And we should be good to call her a day. So we just finished up. We ripped this headland, and this with a little extra focus around this entry point there. So here's a drone shot showing you what that looks like from the sky. We really only found compaction in the high traffic areas this time around. This is our third year smart probing this field, and now it looks like we've pretty much fixed all the issues we used to have on the inland acres. So now you can either take this off if you want, it's real simple to do, or you can just leave it up. Having a nice little phone mount is actually helps be a little more convenient when you're doing other things in the tractor. So dual purpose. I'm gonna do some more probing, so I'm gonna take this with me. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. It's been 3 years since I built the first prototype, and I couldn't be more excited to begin offering this technology to the world. Major announcement, you can now order your SmartProbe kit at terraformtillage.com, and the app is expected to be ready on all major app stores in April of 2024. Give us a like on Facebook to stay up to date and get ready to finally measure the variability of your soil compaction. Manage your compaction efficiently, and you will expand your profitability.